yeah, I need to talk about my team. I was very careful on not letting our performance in both of those games against some teams that are going to be in the sweepstakes for Cooper, you know, completely cloud my judgment over what the expectations of this team should actually be. And it looks like I was correct in doing so. Now it is only one game. Like, it's a strange situation to be in because we didn't necessarily, like, the Clippers played a really bad game tonight, but we also did as well. And it was ultimately our turnovers which were the nail in the coffin for us. Our turnovers and inability to rebound the ball, which is something that has been a staple of this team over the last 3 or 4 seasons. We had 12 turnovers in the first half, 3 of them from Steph, 3 of them from Buddy Hield. I'm really concerned, like even more so this season, about the non-Steph minutes, and we'll talk about Steph later. I'm even more concerned about the non-Steph minutes because it just genuinely looks like we don't have anybody that can reliably create offense with him off the floor. The reason why Buddy Hield had 4 turnovers is because we're relying on him to be handling the ball so much when Steph isn't on and when Draymond isn't on. Now, given he is a really good ball handler and a really good passer, he had some really nice passes tonight, but it's not a situation in which you want him to be in that role. Like, he is gonna be most valuable for your team as the off-ball movement shooter that Klay Thompson used to be of pre-injury, you know, just being a version of that, obviously not being Klay Thompson, and that's what he's been doing the first couple games. But now when he's being asked to do more of the ball handling, he's having a tougher time getting a rhythm. The Clippers were also just playing him really well. There were a couple actions that were just completely blown up because Amir Coffey was just chasing him around the court. There wasn't really a situation in which he was just able to even get a shot off. So yeah, so you're seeing Amir Coffey is doing a really good job of chasing him over those screens right there. He played some fantastic defense today. I can't lie. Like, you see, he's not letting him out of his sight. There's no situation in which he really is able to break free. So now it's Terrence Mann is on him. This one he actually made. Now Terrence Mann is on him again. This was the and 1-3 that he made. Like, he's gonna be able to hit shots like this, but you also need him to be getting a lot of the open looks that he was getting in the first couple games too. That was a good look. He just missed. So now Amir Coffey's doing a really good job. They had Zubac in drop a lot this game, and it was actually working out. Fan bases warned us, the Buddy Hield experience. Teams warned us that something like this was going to happen. But it's one game. He was still getting a bunch of good looks when he was like able to break free, but he just wasn't able to knock him down. The legs just weren't there. They were pretty much all short. But overall, it's just like I said before, the turnovers were just ridiculous, especially in the first half. At least Wiggins had a good game. Yeah, but that, like, whenever he has a good game, like especially over the last like however many seasons, it doesn't seem like we're able to ever like capitalize and win the game. That's just, the Warriors are always going to have those types of turnovers where you're just trying passes that are risky but can still work. That's just dumb. That's Buddy Hield just pushing off for no reason. Man, Draymond, I don't know what happened tonight. It literally just looked like he didn't even want to play. Like, even before, there have been talks about him like having an injury, to like a knee injury on supposedly a post-up with Ivica Zubac. But even before that, it didn't even look like he wanted to be on the floor. It was so strange. He only had 2 points, and it didn't really look like there wasn't anything like noteworthy that he did that I can actually remember. Which, I mean, he's going to have plays like that. TJD has had a couple plays like this. Like, the pass is coming towards him and he's just not paying attention because he's like already like trying to like set something up. I think he was like trying to set a screen for Steph here, and he didn't know that the pass was coming towards him. So that's just something where he needs to do a better job of seeing ball. I swear, if this is the year where we're great on the road with dog at home, that was last year. We were 21-20 at home and 25-16 on the road. That was undoubtedly their issue through 3 quarters, was just taking care of the ball. They had, I believe, yeah, we only had 2 in the 4th, so they had 19 turnovers through 3 quarters. It's just, you couldn't stop Ivica Zubac. He had 23 points and 18 rebounds, partly because of like some of the lineups that you're actually playing. You're playing a lot, like still playing a lot of Draymond Green at 5. Pretty much every time that happened is when we were getting cooked the most on the boards. Zubac would just tap the ball out, Nick Batum would just tap the ball out, and they would get second, third opportunities. They didn't shoot that many more shots than us. They only shot 2 more shots than us, but that's because they also had a bunch of turnovers. Our defense is also kind of working. It's still going to be in it. Like, the size is still going to be an issue, especially if you're running lineups like that still. And if you're not going to be getting rebounds from guys like Kuminga, guys like Draymond, who only had 5, guys like Trace, who only had 1, Wiggins had 3, Kevon had 11. He had a monster second half, and he's always going to be showing up on the boards. But if you're not going to be having these main core dudes showing up on the rebounds, then the small lineups are just not going to work. You're not going to be able to grab rebounds, especially with big guys like Zubac. Speaking of Jonathan Kuminga, he's been very disappointing to me, especially after the like talks during the offseason of him being, or like, I guess like basically just comparing himself to Kawhi Leonard and Pascal Siakam, being like that type of player, that type of like potential. It's not really translating yet. He has been working on his 3-ball. He is getting a bunch more threes up, but it's still an issue of just him being able to knock him down. Being able to actually reliably create his own offense, you still don't really see that much. And speaking of also another player being able to reliably create his own offense, Brandon Podziemski, 2 for 8, 0 for 5 from 3. And I want to preface this by saying most of these shots were in the last 6 minutes of the game, and even then he only made 1 of them. Like, he's just not really, he's not shooting the ball. And 2 of these shots were heaves. Or actually no, the one at the end of the third quarter didn't count. One of these shots was a heave. It's confusing to me because you saw some of the improvements in preseason, but it seems like, I don't know, like it feels like, honestly, like I'm watching the same player as last year. Like the guy that is going to get you a rebound, is going to shoot sometimes, but is mainly going to be just playing defense and, you know, grabbing boards, taking charges and things like that. There's not really a lot of plays where he's actively looking for his own shot, which is something that he needs to be doing, especially in all these lineups where there is no other shot creator. And he did start to get into that shot creating bag in the fourth quarter, but like even when he does, like in the games where he does do that, it seems like it's taking him way too long to realize that he's actually, they need him to be a scorer. And it's just like, it's crazy to me. Like, this is the player that I was told by my own team that I should expect him to be taking 8 to 10 threes a game, and he's not even getting 10 shots up. Editor Double D here. I wanted to just come in here and say something that I forgot to say here, which is basically just reminding ourselves that this is not necessarily Beatz' fault. A mid first round pick being given this amount of responsibility in just their second season was always kind of insane to me. Like, they couldn't get Lauri Markkanen, so they just told Beatz to go out there and be Lauri Markkanen. That's the only reason why you would tell someone like this to shoot 10 threes a game. And so I've always thought that was kind of unfair from the start. But of course, him shooting like he's been shooting to start the season is not really acceptable, but at the same time, him having this level of responsibility and this level of impact on the team as a second-year player who was the 19th pick in last year's draft is just not really, it was never fair to me. And so I just wanted to keep that in mind. All right, back to Pass Me. And then of course, the story of the night, Stephen Curry tweaked his ankle in the third quarter and then tweaked it again the second he came back in the fourth. Steve Kerr said that he is not concerned. This is something that's going to be very huge. If he is out for any substantial amount of time, even like 1 or 2 weeks, is going to be very detrimental to this team given how they look whenever he's not on the floor. The Warriors can still be able to bounce back from games like this, specifically because of the defense that they're able to play on teams. James Harden was 6 for 19 tonight, and that was largely due to just the defensive scheme that we were running for him, forcing him into a lot of like step back threes, which he hasn't really been consistent at making. A lot of Harden's game this season seems to be coming from the mid-range, and we were able to shut that off pretty effectively. Zubac 23 and 18 is just wow. Now, given Zubac is taking a leap this season because he needs to with the loss of Paul George, allowing him to grab 18 rebounds, 6 of them being offensive, is just something that cannot happen whenever you face this team again. I feel like this game was more indicative of the type of team that we could be seeing on like a game-to-game basis. A lot of turnovers, a lot of just miscues. Whenever that happens, you're relying on your three-point shot and your three-point shooters. Buddy Hield was 1 for 9, Beatz was 0 for 5, Jonathan Kuminga was 1 for 6, and Andrew Wiggins was really your only saving grace tonight with 29 points, 5 for 8 from 3, 11 for 15 from the field overall. But you're gonna have games like this where you have all of those adversities and all of those things working against you, and you're relying on the defense and you're relying on your 3-point shooting, like I said, to be able to overcome that. But as I said, the lineups without Steph in them have not been looking great. Now, there is, of course, a lot of time to be able to fix that and be able to adjust to that. Also, just perhaps telling B-Pods and Kuminga, like, yo, y'all need to lock in, especially if Steph is out for however many games. Like, there's so many instances where B-Pods is just coming down the court and he's not even really looking to shoot. He's looking to pass. And I mean, that's fine, but you need to be able to recognize when the team needs like a spark, especially from someone like yourself who showed that in like summer league and said that you were going to be working on things like that during the off season. I think that as we start to play more like actual competitive NBA teams, I think we'll get a much better representation of what this team will actually look like, because I don't think that they're going to be playing like this all the time against just good teams. But that's about what I have to say. Bro, James Harden had the funniest clip in a while. The ball was loose and he like saved it and he tried to throw it off of GP2 on the ground, but he missed. Jeez. Oh.
He tried to squeeze. Oh, I don't know. Let's go. We fighting, chat. We fighting.